welcome to Breakfast and Movie. Spooky season still upon us. Halloween is around the corner, and that means that I'm starting to watch some scary movies, some horror movies, and basically anything that has to do with monsters and vampires and werewolves. And I chose Dracula Untold, and man, I love this movie. I mean, it's just a good movie. Now, if you like fantasy, if you like war, if you like sword fights, and if you like something that has a little bit of an eerie vibe, then this movie is something you should definitely watch. And the thing that I love most about this movie is the atmosphere in the movie. It really has that gothic, dark, dark romantic style to it. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it just works. It really gives that Halloween vibe, I think. So it's not a scary movie. It does have some, I would say, scary moments, but it's not a scary movie in particular. But it definitely fits the bill for the spooky season. Definitely. So we meet Luke Evans, who plays Vlad the Impaler, also known as Dracula. But in the movie, he becomes Dracula later on. So during the movie, he's just Vlad the Impaler. And for some reason, which is not very clear to me, his country is being attacked by the Turks, or they are passing by to wage war on a different country. I'm not really sure. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I didn't really pay attention. But the Turks are knocking on their front door, and they request 1,000 boys to join their army. And Vlad says no, go away. I'm not going to give you our sons. And these Turks, they have a huge army. So obviously, telling them no means war. And war with the Turks means you're all going to die. Now, he finds some dead scouts from the Turks somewhere in the mountains. And for some reason, he decides to climb into this mountaintop, and there is this creature, a vampire, some old, sinister vampire who is cursed. Basically, that's what it is. And I'm not sure why, but Vlad thinks that this vampire can actually help him to defeat the Turks. So it's a little bit vague there. It's a little bit of fantasy going on. But sure, Vlad makes a deal with this vampire, and he drinks his blood. And that basically means he gets the power of this vampire, basically the power or the strength of 100 men. And if he can resist the urge to drink the blood of a human for 3 days, he will have the power for 3 days, and after the third day, he will return human. So basically, he's cursed for 3 days. And if not, then he will forever become this vampire type of creature, basically. And he's doing quite all right, but then his wife gets killed by the Turks, and he decides to kill his wife to drink her blood because he's enraged, he's angry, he wants to kill this whole army. And he definitely has some great powers. It looks good, it looks awesome. But then the Turks, they attack his country, they attack this monastery where they all reside, where they are all hiding. And there are some survivors. And then I'm not sure what's going on, but Vlad, so Luke Evans, the main character, he lets all his people who survived the attack drink of his blood. So they all become vampires as well. So they also get increased amounts of strength and healing powers and all of that. So basically, he has this small army of vampire warmongers, which is awesome. But I'm not sure what is going on. So does that mean that if they all survive the 3 days of not drinking any human blood, they all return human? Or do we now have a whole country full of vampires? I'm not sure what is the thought process behind this. It is cool, but it is a little bit ambiguous. It's a little bit vague. So obviously, he takes his group of vampires and he just wreaks havoc on this Turkish army. And then we have the final battle between him and the Sultan. And they're also, well, I get for the movie they have to do this exposure, so he gets exposed to a lot of silver, which obviously he's not very good with silver as a vampire, of course, we all know this, and sunlight also not very good for a vampire. So I'm not sure why they're doing a sword fight and why he isn't just using his vampire powers to just destroy the Sultan instantly. I mean, for the movie, obviously, they need to have this sword fight, but, in terms of storyline, he should just kill the Sultan instantly. So that was a little bit, not sure why. I kind of get it, but it's a little bit silly also. Nonetheless, looks really cool. And then, well, he saves his country and he does this magic type of thing. He suddenly can control the weather. Don't know if that's something that Dracula or a vampire can do, but apparently they can. And the sunlight comes through, and all the vampires die. So basically, he saves everybody, especially his son, because that's what the whole story is about. He wants to save his son. And then we get this. We get to the end, and the end is actually really good. It leaves a lot to the imagination. I mean, everybody dies, but then something happens, and well, Vlad the Impaler, now known as Dracula, he isn't dead. He isn't really dead. And then we have this vampire overlord sitting in the mountain, who suddenly, because Dracula drank human blood, he is released or relieved from his curse. I'm not sure. And then the story basically tells us that, well, a vampire is just recycling his life over and over again for centuries. And then we fast forward to the future, and then we see this vampire overlord, and we see Dracula still alive, and then the movie is done. And that leaves a lot to the imagination. Not sure what is going on. I don't really need an answer to what is going on, but I definitely like it. And maybe, I don't think so, but maybe we get a part two somewhere in the future, maybe within a couple of years, because I would really like to see how this plays out in the future with Vlad and this overlord vampire. So yeah, overall, a few silly things in the movie, nothing that really bothered me. Fight scenes look great. Army looks huge. Scary scenes, vampire type of stuff looks really legit. There's a little bit of a love story there between Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and his wife. Also very, very believable, very nice. So overall, I would say this movie is definitely a must-watch if you're into vampires, if you're into fantasy and sword fights. And during Halloween period, during the spooky season, this movie, it has that eerie Gothic vibe. So I would definitely recommend to watch it. It's actually quite an awesome movie. So, yeah, that's my take on the movie. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time. Bye bye.